Hey there, Helena here. So today I actually want to chat a few minutes with you about the cosmic vibes, about the Aries times 10, about the fire, like the heat is on my friend. The light is green, the cosmic light has turned green. And I want to really touch on how these cosmic vibes might be affecting you if you are sensitive at all to energy and maybe feeling some of this. I want to chat about that and what you can do about it. So stick with me to learn not only some of the signs that you may not even realize that the cosmic vibes, the lunar vibes, the collective energy is affecting you more than you know. And again, some pro tips on what to do about it. So before we dive in, my name is Helena Das, and welcome to my channel, Dark Horse Rises, where we are all about helping you remember your magic, especially as a sensitive soul, a deep feeler, a conscious horsewoman on the rise. And not only do we truly take our mission of making the world a better place for horses and the humans that love them, but we intend to do that through activating the human in the equation by helping the heart-led horsewoman really elevate her partnership, her leadership, and her guardianship in all the ways. So without further ado, and so on that note, in case you're wondering why I'm talking about the vibes, this is really something that I think it's real. And if again, you consider yourself empathic or sensitive or a deep feeler, chances are you are feeling this in some way because it's happening to the collective, it's happening to the planet, okay? Because of that, again, I think it's so important to expand our awareness, kind of like checking the weather and knowing whether or not you need to bring an umbrella if you're heading out somewhere, right? You can be armed with the knowledge to empower yourself and have a deeper understanding of truly how deeply connected you are to all that is, as well as, again, what to do about it. How can you actually be self-led and empower yourself and take the reins and actually harness these vibes for your rise, okay? For unlocking your greatest potential in all the ways with your horse, in your life, and beyond. Alrighty? Hope that makes sense. So I'm letting my woo flag fly, okay? So let's talk about the fact that on the 17th, which at the time of this recording is 2 days away, we have this incredible new moon in Aries. And Aries, my love, is the first sign of the zodiac. It is a fire sign. It is the sacred warrior archetype. It is the initiator. It is the action taker. It is this kind of fearless, very action-oriented energy. And that is why earlier I said it is go time, okay? And because it is connected to fire, right, there's an energy of movement. Now, I want to be clear here, this does not mean that we need to, take mindless, unconscious movement and be busy for the sake of being busy. It always needs to come back to you and your own personal, let's call it rhythm, and where you are at on any given day or season in life, okay? And so the other piece around this is, so that in itself is like this brand spanking new beginning with Aries being, the new moon being in Aries. But the thing that makes this one really unique is, I think it's 6 or 7 planets, including, I think it was Mercury and Uranus. I can't remember them all. You can Google it. are all lining up in the sign of Aries, like amplifying the fire, like it's bringing the heat. And according to one astrologer, I think there were actually, if you count the asteroids, like as many as 10 planets and asteroids all converging, hanging out in the sign of Aries. So that means that energy of Aries, of that sacred warrior, of that fire is being amplified. Now, whether or not you have Aries in your chart, some of the signs and symptoms that you are actually feeling these cosmic vibes, again, because everyone is exposed to it, okay, on some level. On the one hand, on one side of the coin, you could be feeling very restless, you could be feeling impatient, impulsive, maybe really easily agitated or irritated, and have this energy of like really having this extra energy that you don't know what to do with it. Okay, that's on one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is you could actually be feeling the opposite. You could be feeling lethargic and unmotivated and just blah and like, yeah, okay. Hopefully that gives you a picture. And so what we really want to do to make it work for us individually is, again, always coming back to you, boo, coming back to your body and how you are feeling in any given moment, on any given day. And from there, as we connect with our body and, just to give you some practical tips along the way here and golden nuggets. So something that I typically do in my morning routine or rhythm and journaling is I check in with myself and I ask myself, like, first of all, like, how am I feeling today, right? How am I feeling today and how do I want to feel? How, what does my soul actually need or crave or long for? And my body, right? So body, mind, and spirit, like checking in with all those parts of myself and maybe writing them out or reflecting on it, either way. Then, of course, we get to choose to implement and follow that nudge, right? Follow that higher wisdom, if you will, because your body at the end of the day is really trying to guide you back home to yourself, right? I say this as well as the horses. The horses are always guiding us back home to ourselves. And I just did dropped a podcast a couple days ago about, the example, a couple of examples I had on how horses are always guiding us back home to ourselves. That is the deeper medicine that I don't hear anyone talking about. If you want to check that out, I'll try to remember to leave it down below. But even just to give you another really candid and authentic, transparent example, just a couple days back for myself, and I have an Aries moon, and that's my excuse why I can maybe be feeling this perhaps a bit more intensely than others. However, regardless, again, you don't have to have Aries placements to be feeling the shiz and the collective vibes that are going on in the world. And on Monday, actually, so a couple of days ago, today's Wednesday at the time of this recording, when I came down, I was running late, and I kind of, I'll say this, I was not in the best mood. I quote unquote woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and I was feeling kind of triggered around some personal stuff that happened over the weekend with my SO. Anyway, that being said, I was still moving through it, and if I'm 100% honest, I was feeling kind of cranky and irritated and agitated and triggered, right? Okay, if I'm being fully honest. And I had not yet taken the time to move through that energy. And it was Monday morning, and I went to go, again, I was running late. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I went to go get Indy from his stall to put him out. And he did something very, very, very uncharacteristic, like, very rare. He kind of pinned his ears and he kind of lunged for me. And not a like, on a aggression scale of 1 to 10, like 10 being like a wild, crazy stallion, which I've, met in my former renegade vet practice. I've met horses like that, and then one being, a very kind of calm, subtle irritation, if you will. I would say it for him and us and our relationship, it was a good like 6 or 7. Okay. And again, regardless, I'm just giving a baseline if that's helpful for context. Anyway, I immediately knew in that moment, okay, I was like, okay, I got the memo. I got the memo. So I refreshed, he still had some hay. I refreshed the hay and I closed his stall door and I left him in for a little bit longer. And I came in here to my office space where I have my yoga mat and get to do my embodiment somatic work and all the things. And I intentionally did what I call somalchemy, which is my own intuitively guided practice where I weave together a combination of gentle, mindful movement, micro moves, or in some cases, like on that day, really kind of raging and I even have like boxing gloves and I did a little bit of raging, I did a little movement, I did a little breath work, I worked my magic, right? I did that in maybe 15, 20 minutes. I then knew I could feel the difference in myself. I was now calm and relaxed and way more chill, okay? And so when I went back out to get him, he had softened as well. He had completely, like, the attitude that he just had previously was gone. And so again, I know because of our relationship, our dynamics, that he is my equine loving mirror. Now, I'm not saying that every single thing that he does is an exact 100% mirror, but I know him enough and I'm aware enough around myself and my vibes to at least, notice and catch that, right? And then make a choice to do something about it, make a choice to shift my energy, right? And that was reflected back to me. So, again, I'm not saying that you could be dealing with something with your horse that is caused by other factors, maybe nutrition, maybe, I don't know, something happening in the environment or the herd or whatever the case may be. I'm not saying that those pieces don't play a role, but again, I know in my case with our dynamics that is something that is very a powerful, what is the word I want to use? Is just a really powerful dynamic with us and our unique energetic archetypes, which is the system I downloaded based on the 5 elements, being reflector, mirror type, okay, one of the 5. And so based on that, I know enough to make sure that that's something I am at least addressing and ruling out, okay, amongst the other things, right? The obvious things, again, any change or stress in the environment, nutrition, etc. Okay, and so I'm sharing that with you to be really real and let you know that, these energies, like the first thing is to be aware, like, be aware. And it's not about judgment. It's not about making yourself wrong. It's not about beating yourself up, okay? Which is something I used to do a lot of in the past, right? Like instead it's about, okay, yeah, like I get why I feel this way and I totally understand why I felt that way. And I also have a choice as to how I want to process, metabolize, alchemize, and move that energy through my body, through my being, through my field, okay? And this is, again, not a one and done thing. It's not a one trick pony. It's a new way of being. And because I'm so devoted to that practice, and while I might have that morning actually skipped that part because I was running late, I usually do that a little bit deeper kind of check-in, like in my opponent's ritual, but because of quote unquote waking up on the wrong side of the bed kind of thing and running late. I skipped it, and that's what happened. Anyway, lesson learned. Okay. And I also want to say it's not about being perfect. It's about progress. And, while I skipped it, when I got there, I got the memo, and then I course corrected, right? I knew what to do to shift my vibes. So I'm sharing this with you again to let you know that while on the one hand, I think it's so empowering and to have this awareness around what's going on, in the sun and the moon and the stars. I've always been fascinated by astrology, and kind of lunar sensitive. And I think that is really powerful, but we don't want to give our power away, right? So knowing now in this week, right, over the next few days at the time of this recording, that we're having all of these planets lining up and joining forces in Aries, that means they're bringing the heat. That means they're bringing fire, so much fire. They're amplifying, 10xing the fire, if you will, around things that may potentially trigger you or activate you for your rise. And that is, again, as in the example I shared, it is always our choice how we respond versus react to what is going on in our life, whether, again, it's with our horses or beyond. Okay. The next piece that I want to share with you is to give you some tools, some really basic tools. So again, using that example, like that check-in or having that awareness. Now, ideally from a preventive standpoint, normally, because I am so devoted, normally I do have that check-in process. Normally I am doing what I might call a, my Epona's ritual, a check-in or some sort of as a first step, right? And based on that check-in, then I might choose certain embodiment exercises or nervous system work or whatever I feel called to based on my check-in, right? Because that awareness is always the first step. So I want you to really, if you take nothing else away, that first step, that awareness, right? Sometimes even just having that awareness and then allowing ourselves to maybe, take a few minutes and just breathe and soften and soothe our nervous system, right? And release or soften some of whatever anxiety or stress, whatever we might be feeling, okay? And I forgot to mention, anxiety is also going to be a big one that the fire energy could also ignite on that flip side. And ultimately, it's like what is the capacity, the awareness, and the capacity for your nervous system to handle and manage and navigate stress and fear and chaos, right? And so I'm not sharing about this to, again, create fear, or this is not any kind of prediction. This is only, like, again, a cosmic, energetic forecast of energetic potential or possibility. It doesn't mean, maybe depending on the season and where you're at in life, maybe you won't even feel it at all. Okay. So I'm not saying, this is not some kind of prediction. All I'm saying is if you're feeling these vibes, and if you are finding this video like sometime in the future where, we've gone past this Aries amplification, just trust that your soul brought you here for a reason, right? Again, those symptoms, the agitation, the irritation, the impatience, the impulsiveness, the restlessness, and or on that flip side, the lack of motivation, the lethargy, maybe the anxiety that puts you in analysis paralysis and procrastination and, a functional freeze. Like, everyone is going to navigate that differently, and the fires are actually here to help us rise, to help us activate our sacred warrior archetype, that fearless visionary trailblazer who knows that they were born to lead. And it's, at the end of the day, for me, it is a call, an invitation, to really level up your leadership, to lean into your leadership edge and grow, right? And grow and evolve, because that's what the human journey is all about, right? So I really wanted to, again, expand your awareness around all of this. And then the first tip that I have for you is one, to like slow down. Like this might seem counterintuitive. Slow the F down and like pause, get still, give yourself some grace and space, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe it's an extra 5 to 10 minutes in the morning. Maybe it's when you find yourself zooming around in the middle of the day trying to get shit done. You pause and you breathe and you'll call yourself back home. Like again, whatever that looks like for you, but really that art of learning how to be and live and hang out in the present moment instead of getting stuck in our heads, right? Which is where so many of us can, slip into, because that is just what we've been trained and the kind of the norm, right? But when we can slow down enough to, again, connect with our bodies, our breath, our nervous system, our overall vibe, right? When we start doing this, we have this information, and from there, we get to choose if we are in an overall vibe, or we're zooming around, or we're feeling anxious or overwhelmed, right? We get to choose to shift, to step into something else for ourselves first and foremost, because who we are being is always going to be affecting what we are doing, number one, and be something that also influences our relationships with horse, our loved ones, our clients, our family, etc., right? So that who we are being piece is the first part, I believe, of radical self-love, radical self-care, okay? And that ripple effect cannot but help to go out to, again, our relationships and reality and the rest of life. Okay, so that first step, again, is to expand your awareness. And the second one, the way that you choose to shift the energy. And if you pause and you check in and you're calm and you're chill and you're, all is good in your world, like, yes, then maybe there's nothing that you need to do. However, again, if you're sensitive, if you're feeling like all the shiz in the world, if you've got stuff going on in your personal life or professional, I mean, it has been so crazy for me this week already, and we're still 2 days away from the Aries new moon. And I'm sharing this just, again, to let you know, like, I am not immune to the chaos in the world. I shared how I started off the week with that example with Indy and me being triggered. Now we've had, just in the past 2 days, okay, that was only 2 days ago. And in the past 2 days, our hot water heater got busted. So we were without hot water for a couple of days. Thankfully, plumber came out yesterday. That's taken care of. Of course, taxes, right? That can always, often we're changing that now. We're changing and we're shifting that. But up until recently, that would bring up stuff for myself and my partner. And so anyway, so those got done with ease and grace and, gratitude, yesterday as well. So I'm just sharing this because those are the kind of things, like when life is coming at you, you either have that curveball or, again, you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, and maybe you know why, and maybe you don't. Maybe you're dealing with health issues. Maybe you're dealing with, career issues. Maybe you're dealing with family issues. Maybe you're dealing with something going on with your horse, and it has you really stressed out. And I truly hope that that's not the case. But if you are dealing with any of those things, what I want you to do is, number one, you haven't done anything wrong. And if you can shift and choose to have the foundational belief that everything is always working out for you, like the universe is rigged in your favor, and anything that feels like a challenge or feels like a problem is actually happening for your rise. Any kind of setback is setting you up for your comeback, right? And when you can have that kind of perspective and look through that lens, which I will tell you is not like, it's not necessarily like that quick fix that you can do that. It does, for me, it's taken work and the repetition, the rewiring of my neural pathways and all the things, right? So, I know it can sometimes be easier said than done, but the intention and the baby steps, if that's all you can do on any given day or moment, is that first step in quote unquote the right direction, in a better direction, right? If things are not the way you prefer and you would like something different from what you're experiencing, that first step is to pause, right? Time out, sacred pause. You are worthy and deserving of giving yourself the space and grace, whatever that looks like for you, to pause and check in with yourself, to call yourself back home, to connect with your body, with your soul, with your spirit, your nervous system, whatever words you want to use, your higher self. You have that choice. We have free will at the end of the day, and how we are responding to life is the one thing that we do have quote unquote control over, right? We may not always be able to control what is coming at us and what's happening in the world, but the one thing that we can quote unquote control, the one place that we can take the reins, is in choosing how we respond to what is going on. Okay, so I truly hope that today's message served you. And let me know down below, are you feeling the heat? Are you feeling the Aries vibes? Do you have Aries in your chart? Like, let me know. I'm curious if I'm the only, oddball around. And if it is, so be it. But I just felt called to share. And again, if you made it all the way to the end, all I ask, if you received value, please give me a thumbs up, follow and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, ciao for now. I love you. Namaste.